Work and learn. Meet Light Meet Max. සක්‍රිය කර ගැනීමට MySLT app එකට log වෙන්න. Work and learn. Meet Light Meet Max. සක්‍රිය කර ගැනීමට MySLT app එකට log වෙන්න.
හඳුන්වා දෙන නව Surf Excel දැන් Comfort Premium සුළු සමගින්.
හරිම සුළුයි.
Tonight on First at 9 this Monday, the 26th of December 2022. Commemoration. Sri Lanka remembers lives lost in the Boxing Day tsunami 18 years ago. Improving. Severe weather conditions easing across the island as a depression over southwest Bay of Bengal moves out of Sri Lanka towards the Western Sea. Baseless worries. Coal shipments to arrive in Sri Lanka as expected. Lanka Coal Company assures of no impact on power supply due to unavailability of coal.
There will be no power cuts due to unavailability of coal.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9 with Anuradhi Wickramasinghe. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and thank you for joining us on First at 9. I'm Anuradhi Wickramasinghe. Our top story tonight, Sri Lanka commemorated the victims of the deadly tsunami that struck the island 18 years ago on a day like today. The main commemoration was held in Parale, where the single most devastating effects of the tsunami were reported. More commemorations were also held across the island in remembrance of the 2004 tsunami victims.
18 years ago, a powerful undersea megathrust earthquake with a magnitude of 9.1 struck off the coast of Sumatra Island in Indonesia on the 26th of December. 20 minutes later, massive foot waves of 100 meters devastated the Indonesian city of Banda Aceh, claiming the lives of 100,000 people. At 9:25 that morning, a series of tidal waves, the first as high as 40 feet, crashed into Sri Lanka's eastern, southern and southwestern coasts, causing a great loss of property and killing close to 40,000 people who even did not know what a tsunami was. Peralia town near Hikkadua witnessed the single most devastating incident when an express train plying from Colombo to Mathura was hit side-on by the tidal wave. Only about 150 passengers survived, while the estimated death toll was at least 1,700, although some estimate it at over 2,000. Only 900 bodies were however recovered, with many others either swept out to sea or taken away by family members who descended upon the wreckage to search for their loved ones. This natural disaster also hit India, the Maldives and Thailand, claiming the lives of 230,000 people in total. Since the 26th of December 2004, Sri Lankans dedicate the day to commemorate those who lost their lives due to the tragedy. At exactly 9:25 this morning, most Sri Lankans observed 2 minutes silence in memory of the 40,000 lives lost.
සුනාමි වෙසෙනේ සිදු වී වසර 17ක් සපිරන අතර
With the 26th of December having been declared the National Safety Day since 2005 in remembrance of the victims, the National Tsunami Commemoration was held this morning at the Perlia Tsunami Memorial with the family members of the victims, Triforces and police personnel in attendance. More tsunami commemorations were held today in several parts of the island.
The Lanka Coal Company Private Limited reassures that coal shipments will reach Sri Lanka as expected and that there is no base for worries of prolonged power cuts due to unavailability of coal. Speaking to AdaDerana English News, its chairman Shehan Samarasekara said that the sixth shipment will reach Colombo mid-next week. According to Lanka Coal Company, 3 more vessels are expected in Ireland with 180,000 metric tons of coal within the first 3 weeks of January.
According to the Ceylon Electricity Board, Sri Lankan coal requirement in the period from September 2022 to April 2023 is around 2.2 million metric tons. So far, state coal supplier Lanka Coal Company Private Limited has provided 5 shipments amounting to a total of 300,000 metric tons of coal to the Noracholi power plant. The 6th shipment, comprising of 60,000 metric tons of coal, was expected to arrive on the 28th of December. But Lanka Coal Company informs that the shipment had been delayed due to a derailment at the Richards Bay coal terminal in South Africa and therefore had to be diverted to the Maputo port in Mozambique. In this backdrop, the CEB Engineers Union warned the public of power cuts stretching up to 10 hours from January, claiming that coal reserves at hand are only sufficient until the 31st of December. However, when we spoke to the Lanka Coal Company, it was reassured that the country will not run out of coal and that the vessel in question is expected to reach Sri Lanka as announced.
We have our 6th vessel arriving on the 4th to the country, 4th evening or 5th morning, depending on the sea condition. Immediately made arrangements for unloading at the power plant premises, and that 60,000 metric tons obviously would be made use to generate power. Per day, in general, the discharging rate is about 12,000 metric tons, so one would have the option of immediately starting to use the required coal by the power plant from day one.
Further, 3 more coal shipments comprising of 180,000 metric tons in total are expected to reach the island within the first 3 weeks of January.
So there are 3 more vessels which is supposed to be arriving at Putlam anchorage on the 9th of January. That's the 7th vessel. The 8th vessel is supposed to arrive on the 13th of January. And the 9th vessel is supposed to arrive on the 17th of January. So all these vessels currently are on track to arrive on these days for January. As per the current requirement at CB, 33 vessels have been agreed to be provided by Lanka Coal.
With more shipments expected in the future, Lanka Coal assures that there will not be long hours of power interruptions due to the unavailability of coal.
We have taken responsibility on delivering the 33 cargoes. We have in our capacity 21 vessels, which are from a previous tender through a previous procurement. Out of that, we are already making payments and arranging the 9 vessels now, as I mentioned. Beyond that, we still have another 11 vessels to come through those procurements. It's a matter of making the payments for those on a timely basis, which we are already doing. And beyond this, we have also gone in for a new proposal for 12 new cargoes. That has been finalized. We are going through the Attorney General's clearances for an official award for that company as well. And those are coming in with credit terms, which we hope to use towards the latter part of the season to perform. So with that 12 coming in, we will easily supply these 33 vessels, which is required, which means obviously there will be no power cuts due to inavailability of coal. There will be no reason to say that there is no coal in the month of January, because currently from the plant I have found out coal stocks will be enough and sufficient up until 8th January as per CEB currently.
Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena urged new envoys appointed to foreign missions to work towards attracting investment, promoting exports, tourism and bilateral partnerships that are beneficial to the economic development of Sri Lanka. The Premier also instructed them to work in close cooperation with the expatriate community and their associations to obtain more investment, employment opportunities and development assistance to Sri Lanka.
12 newly appointed Sri Lankan envoys for foreign missions met Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena at the Temple Trees today. During the meeting, the Prime Minister highlighted the importance of economic diplomacy, adding that it is also the country's top priority. Further, the Premier urged them to work towards attracting investments, promoting exports, tourism and enhancing the image of Sri Lanka as a non-aligned neutral country with friendship towards all. Referring to the unprecedented economic crisis and debt restructuring, the Prime Minister asked the foreign missions to work on investments, joint ventures and bilateral partnerships so that Sri Lanka could increase production, exports and develop rapidly rather than depending on aid and loans. The Premier also asked the missions to work closely in cooperation with the expatriate community and their associations to obtain more investments, employment opportunities and development assistance. Pointing out that Sri Lanka is making a rapid economic recovery, he said friendly nations could cooperate with the country's efforts to be self-sufficient in food and develop agriculture, industry, IT and tourism.
The Constitutional Council is set to meet next Thursday in order to arrive at a final decision over the appointment of civil representatives. The meeting will be chaired by Speaker of Parliament Mahinda Yapa. The Constitutional Council, which was established by the 21st Amendment to the Constitution, includes 10 members, while 3 civil representatives will also be appointed. Speaker of Parliament Mahinda Yapa stated that applications were called from qualified individuals and nearly 120 applications have been received so far. 3 representatives will be appointed to the Constitutional Council subsequent to a study of the submitted applications. However, other qualified individuals for the position who have not submitted applications will also be considered for the appointment. The names of the selected persons will be tabled in Parliament for approval, after which the President will appoint them to the Constitutional Council. Parliamentarian of Samagi Janabalawayage Lakshman Kiriyella reiterated his calls for the government to hold elections as there is no provision in the constitution to postpone elections. Addressing a media briefing today, Kiriyella pointed out that although there aren't long queues for essential items, this is not a sign of economic recovery.
Now the people of this country are clamoring for election, some kind of election to express their views. Particularly the government, members of parliament and other supporters are constantly, they are praying to the powers that be that the election should be postponed. But I must tell you, there is no provision in the constitution, so there is no possibility of postponing the election at all. But we are worried about the various games that are being played by the election commission, because he promised to call for nomination on the last week of December. He had it on his website, but now he has said, I am calling for nominations first week of January. So we do not know what he is up to, but it is obvious the government is trying its level best, particularly because of the pleadings by the members of parliament and others to postpone the local government election. But there's no legal provision and it's long overdue. These members have been sitting for 5 years. It's high time they tested their mandate to be serving the people. Then also about the present economic crisis in the country, I saw a UN peace stalwart saying that if you hold elections, that once again the queues will come. I accept the fact that there are no queues now, but that is not the result of economic recovery. It is because the government is not paying our loans now. The government declared itself bankrupt in May. Until next year May, they don't have to pay the loans. Because they are not paying loans, they have cash in hand. So with that only, they have been able to bring foodstuffs and fuel and get rid of the queues. It is not economic recovery. Once you start paying the loans, again this problem will arise.
It's hard to keep up with the new when you're listening to the same old Slim Brand Week. A week for professionals.
Welcome back. Subsequent to the depression over the southwestern Bay of Bengal entering Sri Lanka, inclement weather conditions were experienced around the island, causing great damage to property, key infrastructure and even lives. However, with the depression moving out of the country towards the western sea area, the adverse weather condition has gradually improved island-wide.
The depression over the southwestern Bay of Bengal entered Sri Lanka through the eastern coast yesterday and caused heavy showers and thunderstorms in many parts of the island. The Disaster Management Centre said that due to the extreme weather conditions yesterday, 2 deaths were reported while 7 individuals sustained injuries. According to the data collected by the Disaster Management Centre, 1,675 people from the Matale, Kandy, Badulla and Ampara districts have been affected by adverse weather. Due to the heavy showers yesterday, the Kandy railway station was completely inundated, hampering routine operations. However, operations resumed today with the weather conditions stabilizing. Akurana, which was severely affected by floods yesterday, saw an improved condition today.
දැන් ගුගල් කැමරට විතරක් පට වෙලා තියෙනවා හාල් කිලෝ 30000. මම එහා පැත්තේ පොඩක්
Owing to torrential rainfall, the Department of Irrigation mentioned earlier today that sluice gates of 15 reservoirs under its mandate have been opened in order to control water levels. However, as predicted by the Meteorological Department, the weather pattern has been gradually improving as the depression which entered Sri Lanka yesterday weakened to a low-pressure zone after moving to the Western Sea area of the country.
Red Wings Airlines of Moscow will commence charter flight operations to Sri Lanka, becoming the third Russian airline to operate direct flights to the country. Flight operations to Sri Lanka will commence on Wednesday with 2 flights per week from Moscow to Mattala Rajapaksa International Airport.
The Sri Lankan embassy in Moscow announced today that the Russian regional leisure airline based in Moscow, Red Wings Airlines, will start charter flight operations to Sri Lanka's Mattala Rajapaksa International Airport. In a statement, the embassy said the airlines will operate to Sri Lanka twice per week with effect from the 28th of December. This will be the third Russian airline serving direct flights to Sri Lanka other than the national carrier Aeroflot and Azur Air. The commercial director of the airline, Vitreshakov, said the first few flights are fully booked with the support of Russian top tour operators who are working in partnership with Red Wings Airlines. Further, Red Wings Airlines planes are expected to switch to regular flights as soon as accreditation is granted by the Sri Lankan Civil Aviation Authority in order to increase the number of flights gradually. The Sri Lankan embassy is of the view that this flight operation will be of vital importance to Sri Lanka's tourism industry.
And that is all we have for you tonight. Join us again on First at 9 tomorrow at the same time. Stay tuned for World News Tonight with Suzanne Shanali. Thank you for watching. Have a great night.
For news and information you can trust 24 hours a day, visit AdaDerana.lk.